It's time now for our Friday feature movie spotlight, and it's our last movie spotlight of the year as well, which means it's time for a special edition of our film segment, our end of year wrap up, looking back at the year that's passed for the K film industry, and also announcing the winners of our awards for best films and performances. Highly regarded, of course. We cannot do that without the help of our film critics. Let's bring them in now. First, we have Jason Bechervaise. Jason, hello.
Oh, hello, Joe. It's great to be here as always.
And we have Darcy Paquet with us as well. Hello to you too, Darcy.
Hi, good to see you.
So, gentlemen, it's been should we say, a difficult year for the industry. We've talked about it quite a bit on the show in recent months. The industry is still struggling to recover from the pandemic slowdown, it seems, and very few films have actually turned a profit. But it wasn't all bad news. There were a few high points as well. Before we get into our list of awards, any thoughts in general about 2023? Let me start with you, Darcy.
Yeah, I mean, it was a year when the word crisis was being thrown around quite a bit. And the mood in the industry in general has been very heavy and very pessimistic. I mean, partly that's because of Netflix and the outsized influence that Netflix has on the Korean film industry. Netflix continues to invest a lot, in local content, which makes things a bit harder for filmmakers, and of course audiences have seemed to prefer work on Netflix recently. But it's true, I mean, that it's been hard getting people to come to the theater, particularly for Korean films. And if we looked at the first 4 months of the year, there were 2 Japanese animated films that grossed more than all of the Korean films combined.
Wow.
And yeah, so I mean, in late May, early June, we did have the Roundup No Way Out, the sequel to last year's big hit, and that also did really well. The summer was kind of a mixed bag. There were some films that did okay, others that really didn't. I mean, by the autumn, I think a lot of people were kind of, just reached a point of kind of, the bottom in terms of pessimism, in terms of, time to get out of the industry. And then we had this movie, 12/12 The Day, which opened and was a huge, huge hit. And I mean, it helped, if nothing else, to restore a bit of credibility for the film industry.
Yes, the huge success of that film, the industry, I guess, is ending the year on a bit of a more hopeful note than we might have expected earlier in the year. Jason, what about you? What did you take away from this year?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with Darcy. He wonderfully articulated, the kind of the crises that the Korean film industry continues to face. And I think crisis is something that the industry has always kind of encountered in one form or another. But the Korean film industry, one of the things I've always admired about it is how resilient it is. And you saw that in the late 2010s when it kind of, during the early 2000s, it kind of hit a recession, right? I mean, the industry kind of peaked in 2005, 2006. And then, the 2000s, and then it kind of hit, a crisis point. And I think what we're seeing at the moment is something quite similar, but it recovered, in the early 2010s. And I think here we are seeing signs that it could perhaps stage recovery. It is slower than other markets, particularly, North America. It's kind of 1 month it's good, 1 month it's bad. And you saw that with, Barbenheimer, just a hugely popular summer for films over there. And it just wasn't replicated here. But, going to Busan this year, I did feel a sense of optimism, actually, which is quite ironic. I think some producers could sense there are opportunities out there in what, perhaps opportunities they didn't have before, because, during the 2010s, the studios very much consolidated their presence. Now we've got Netflix, which has really kind of upended things. And so potentially there are chances for younger filmmakers to make films with, lower budgets, but still released in commercial theatres, much like Sleep, actually, that this is the film by Jason Yu that did really well in here in Korea, and also premiered at the Cannes Film Festival. So It is difficult, but I think they're, given the success of 12 Today, and also the films that have done well in Korea, including Smugglers, Concrete Utopia, which didn't perhaps perform as well as the studio liked, but it still did okay. These are films that are actually quite different, quite unique. I think what we're seeing is the evolution of the blockbuster, and I think that's a good thing.
Yes, hopefully next year we will see some more hits. Okay, let's jump into the main event for today. It is, of course, our coveted end-of-year awards.
Yay! Drum roll!
We have 4 categories in total, and these were voted on by our 3 regular contributors to this segment this year. Jason, Darcy, and, of course, Marc Raymond. The first category is Best New Actor, and as ever we don't have an actual drum roll, but Jason, I guess proverbial drum roll. Jason, who is the lucky winner?
Yeah, this is an actress who is actually, she's been more well established on television, but she certainly shined in her first major movie role. It's, of course, Go Min-si from the movie Smugglers. So I watched this, I think we spoke about this film on the show, didn't we? And I went to the movie premiere, and it'll be a movie premiere I'll never forget. I say movie premiere, it was more of a press screening, but it was... there was so much enthusiasm, and it was so refreshing, given the year that the Korean film industry's had. I hadn't been in a screening like that for years, not months, but for years. And so there was a lot of energy in that screening. The film did, of course, do very well, but I did come out of that screening thinking, wow, some of the performances were terrific, including Go Min-si, because I hadn't really... I'll be quite honest here, I hadn't noticed her before. I'm sorry if she's listening. But
I'm sure she's a regular listener.
I certainly noticed her, and I actually started following her on Instagram, so I became a bit of a fan. So yeah, she is terrific. She's got I mean, the film has a lot of energy, and that's partly down to her performance. So yeah, I'll certainly be watching what she gets up to over the coming months and years ahead.
Darcy?
Yeah, I mean, it's, she was appearing on the screen together with Kim Hae-soo and Yeom Jung-ah and these kind of legends of contemporary cinema. But, I mean, she managed to kind of hold her own among that group. And it was an interesting role, too, because the character that she's playing is often kind of pretending or acting and, partly to kind of throw off the other characters around her. But, her performance has these layers. And so it was a fascinating character, and then she really pulled it off well.
Okay, so she's an actress who managed to impress even among some of the more heavyweights in the film Smugglers. Ko Min-si, the first winner of our awards today, and a name to continue to look out for in the coming years, as you said, Jason. Okay, next we have Best Actor. Darcy, would you like to announce this one?
Yes. Some listeners might cry a technical foul when we announce this, because, I mean, the film itself is, sort of half Korean at most, but the best actor goes to Park Ji-min for her performance in the film Return to Seoul. It's a film about an adoptee who goes from France and then comes to Korea. The film premiered at the Cannes Film Festival last year, got a lot of acclaim around the world, and then it was released in Korea in May. The director is Cambodian French. His name is Davy Cho. And he found Park Ji-min after doing this really long, intensive process of auditions in France, and she'd never acted before, but she totally lights up the screen.
My god, yeah.
It's such a natural performance, and clearly she has some innate talent, because to walk off the street and give a performance like that is pretty incredible.
Right, so technically she's a new actor as well then.
Yeah.
So perhaps this is more of a Best Actor in a Leading Role award, and perhaps we should quickly rename our previous category Best Actor in a supporting role, I guess, rather than the Best New Actor. But anyway, let's not quibble over those details.
But if it had been a Korean film, I'm sure she would have won a whole bunch of awards at, the Blue Dragons, because it is such it's a natural performance, but there's an intensity there. I mean, she's totally mesmerizing, and I just can't believe that A, they found her, and B, she had no experience. It's remarkable. It is a mesmerizing performance, and there's a rawness to it, and I think that's probably that's the thing when you get these new actors, that they haven't kind of been studio trained. They're not, they're focused primarily on just giving just a performance rather than perhaps worrying about other things that are going on as well. So
apparently she's not that interested in becoming an actor. She might take some convincing for her to do her second role, but she left everything on the table for this one.
Right, appreciate it while you can in this film. So the Best Actor award goes to Park Ji-min. Okay, moving on. Next is Best Director. Jason, who did our esteemed panel pick to take this honour?
Yeah, we were debating for a little while with regards to some of these categories, including this one. And so this is from, because we looked at the indie movies and also the commercial titles. We wanted to focus a little bit on independent films as well. We've decided to go with July Jung for her film, Next Sohee, which actually premiered last year at the Cannes Film Festival, screened in Busan, which is where I saw it. Didn't it close Critics Week, Darcy? Was that right?
That's right. It was the closing film.
It's one of my favourite films of this year. I mean, it's sometimes confusing because we watch films at festivals, and so we get to see them a bit earlier. But what we're doing here is we're just focusing on films that have been released this year. And so the film is essentially told in two parts, centres around a young student. She works at a call centre, and then people are taking advantage of her. And so you have that part of the film, and then the second half of the film, it focuses on the Bae Dun-ah character who investigates what happened to her. So two great performances. We're actually thinking about perhaps actually giving Kim Se-eun the best actor or best new actor, because she's again absolutely fantastic. July Jung, she's an incredible filmmaker. So clearly she's another film director to look out for. This is a second film.
Yeah, and let me jump in and just mention, another film that almost won this category and that we debated about, because the movie A Wild Rumor by director Lee Jung-hong.
This is great too.
Yeah, we talked about it on the program a few weeks ago, but it's so unique. It's kind of so exciting to discover a film like this, and a filmmaker who's presenting his first film, but just feels so confident and so different from other films that are coming out.
Local critics really embrace this movie.
The local film magazine Cine 21 just released their top films of the year as voted on by all of their critics, and this movie came in at the top.
Wow, okay, so it topped the list for Cine 21 as well. That's a wild rumour. But of course, our Best Director award goes to July Jung for her film Next Sohee. And finally, we've come to the top award of the year, the best film of 2023. There have been over 100 Korean films released in theatres over the past 12 months, although, as we said, very few that turned a profit. But still, out of all of those, Darcy, which was our top pick this year?
Yeah, it was kind of an easy choice because we had one movie that kind of saved the film industry in many ways, and it was a great film as well. 1212 The Day, or Sorebom, Soul Spring. It's screening in theaters as we speak. Of course, it's about the incident in 1979 when future President Chun Doo-hwan led kind of an insurrection within the military. And, it's an incredibly ambitious film. I heard that the original cut of the film is like 5 hours long. And great performances, really, well controlled. And so as you're watching the film, the tension just continues to build and build. Viewers' fury at what's happening builds and builds as well. And so that, it's definitely the film that I'll remember this year for.
It's definitely one of the top films of the year. That's why we've recognised it as such. I think we wanted to pick a film that connected with audiences as well. I mean, we kind of like the Oscars in that way, it's a very accomplished film. It's really quite disciplined in the way it focuses on these two central characters. So often with these films, it can get really convoluted. That didn't happen here. A great performance by Hwan Jung-min, but it's just really well directed and well written. It's it's well over 2 hours, doesn't feel that long. It's really well staged, and it will go down in movie history as perhaps the movie that saved Korean cinema. So we have to, we had to kind of put it in there somewhere, and I think at the top seems rather appropriate.
Indeed. So 12/12 The Day is our film of the year, and it helps end the year on a high note for the industry as well. With that in mind, then, briefly, let's preview what we might expect next year as well. Who wants to start us off? Jason?
Yeah, well, anyone who knows me knows I absolutely love Bong Joon-ho. So he's got a new film out, and I check every day whether there's any news coming out. I keep asking my sources in the industry, when is this film being released? Because it is supposedly the end of March, but it looks like it's going to be pushed back. Could be a May release, could be later on in the summer. We'll have to wait and see. Could be Cannes. Very curious to see what he's up to with that film. I've read the book. It's actually called Mickey 7. But the film's called Mickey 17, so it's science fiction, and clearly Bong Joon-ho's worked on English language projects before, but this is the first time that it's not set in Korea at all. It's got no Korean production company attached, although the post-production is being done here. So we've also got Naung Jin, who's another big name in Korean cinema. He directed just classics such as modern classics such as The Chaser and also The Wailing, and he's busy shooting his next movie. We'll have to wait and see what happens. There's still a bit of a backlog as well. There's still quite a few films to be released over the coming few weeks and few months ahead. They were actually shot either during the pandemic or even before the pandemic. So I think what's been quite interesting with the Christmas season is that they're just releasing almost like one film at a time now, rather than doing what they have done is like release like 4 films over a busy period. But over Christmas we've only got No Yang, which is released this week. Or rather last week. So we'll have to wait and see how well that does.
Right. Darcy, hopefully next year a better year for the K-film industry?
Yeah, I'm hoping for some surprises because, every year there's always some film that kind of comes out of nowhere and that surprises you. And I mean, 12/12 The Day is one example from this year. But when you kind of look at the production schedule and, the films that are slated to come out next year, we don't have a lot of high-profile releases. And so I'm slightly concerned, but if the quality's there, maybe we will get some kind of happy surprises for the
12/12 The Day was
Sure.
a surprise, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Well, we will see what 2024 brings. Jason, Darcy, thank you for that today and all the reviews you've brought for us throughout the year. And our thanks goes out to Marc Raymond as well.
Thanks, Mark.
Gentlemen,
Thanks, Mark.
It's been a pleasure. Have a great new year, and we'll see you in 2024.
네, 새해 복 많이 받으세요.
Happy New Year.